guys, this is Tina from Shabbydabbydoodah. Welcome back to my channel. So we're here for another one of our mass making sessions. We are week 113, would you believe? I know I say that every week, but honestly, I'm just like flabbergasted every single week. So obviously, if you watch my channel, you'll know that we are doing reruns. So although we're week 113, we are rerunning week 13. So what we are going to make today is little fold out kind of pocket books, let's call them. And so if you want to craft along and make some of these, I have brought along a variety of A4 sheets. Now these are mainly printables on thicker paper. I haven't brought any along that are on kind of, copy paper thickness. They're all on thicker thickness. Yeah, thicker paper than that. And they tend to be either double-sided. For instance, this one has been printed with one of those coffee dyed background pages, or I have, oh, that one has been double-sided, or they have been coffee dyed, because basically I wouldn't necessarily want to have just white backs to them. I've also brought along a couple of sheets of 12 by 12. Again, I'm thinking kind of something with, you know, a double-sided, because obviously some 12 by 12s are just single-sided. So if you've got single-sided, you might want to coffee dye the back or something, just so it's not completely white. You're then going to need some scissors. You're going to need either a bone folder, or you could use just your scissor handles for kind of scoring, you know, and pressing down. You're going to need some glue. You might want a glue spreader if you like to use them, or you could sew these pockets. It's completely and utterly up to you. I will probably stick with glue in because, of course, you know, I like to just do glue in so it's inclusive for everybody, and not everybody's got a sewing machine. And then the only other thing that you might like is a little circle punch to be able to punch thumb holes in the pocket. Again, not essential. If you haven't got a circle punch, don't worry about it. You don't necessarily need it. I think that's it for making the actual kind of basic pieces. And then, of course, you know, you might want some pieces to decorate them up. So let's move these out the way, and I will just demonstrate one, before we kind of get on to the mass making. So I'm just going to use this paper here. Now, this is my King Street kit. And actually, I have filmed a launch video for this, and hopefully it might go up at the weekend, maybe on Sunday, all being well. So, yeah, the launch kind of where you'll see kind of more detail of the kit will be coming soon. Right, so all you're going to do is you're going to fold this into kind of thirds, basically, and then you're going to fold it over. Now, I only have sorry, I'm struggling to talk this morning. I've only really made these in kind of quite short versions before. But do you know what? I'm wondering why actually, why we couldn't have taller ones. And so I'm thinking kind of today, I might experiment a bit more with making slightly taller versions. I think that would be quite fun to do. So for this one, I quite like this and would quite like to have this, I think, on the front. So what I'm going to do is just cut it down slightly on the edge, only because I want to obviously have this on the front, hopefully in its entirety, but certainly more of it rather than less of it, if that makes sense. And I'm just aware that if I fold this into thirds otherwise, I might kind of find actually, it's not going to kind of work quite right. So if I just fold this down. Now, I like to just eyeball this. And again, not saying that's the best way to do this. You might be better off measuring. It certainly would, kind of save any wastage and, cutting down afterwards. But having said that, do what suits you best. So I've just kind of taken it in like that. And then obviously my front kind of section goes over like that. So just squish that down like that. Okay. And then all you're going to do is actually then glue your pocket down. So although I said I wanted tall ones, I probably don't want it this tall, but I thought what I would do is then cut it down after folding. So I'm just going to cut it down there. Let me just cut it across like that. Okay, and then we can kind of glue that in. And so then what you would have is like this really tall, pocket book here, which I think is quite nice for a change, to be honest. I mean, like I say, I can't actually remember, but I don't feel like I've done these in the tall version before. But, like all these things, to be honest, we make so many things so frequently. it's actually hard to keep track of what we have made and what we haven't. So I do apologise if I have made these before, or maybe I even made these on the first time round. I only watched kind of the initial part of the video to just give myself a reminder of what I was doing. I didn't actually watch the video in its entirety. So, oh no, I'm having glue problems already. This is not a good start. I haven't used my glue for a couple of days because it had been the weekend, and yeah, I just didn't really have time. Oh, come on. Oh, I just assumed that my glue would be okay, and of course it's not wanting to come out to play. Come on. Oh gosh. Got my glasses on. I might have to pull them down in a second so I can actually see what I'm doing a bit better. Right, let's just see if I can get this glue started. You do get these kind of like long bits that sometimes you just need to pull that out to kind of unplug the tip, and then, you know, suddenly you're going to have your glue free flowing. Wish my words were free flowing this morning. I'm not quite sure what's going on with my words. Oh, I've just that second had my smoothie, and it was really yummy. Really, really yummy today. I mean, to be honest, I tend to just make it the same all the time, but I guess it just depends whether I have more or less of, you know, a particular fruit as to just how yummy it actually is. And, you know, I guess sometimes maybe I put a bit more honey in it and things, so it's like extra sweet. But yeah, today's definitely tasted super, super delicious. And it was huge. I kind of had to, you know, keep pouring it in the glass and sipping some out before I could actually fill the glass up. I tend to make 2 glasses and then I'll just put it in the fridge so that I've got another one for the next day. Or sometimes, obviously, one of the kids might have it, in which case I will just make myself another one the next day. Right, so that's our kind of pocket book. And then obviously, you know, this is your front cover there. And then what you can do is obviously put another pocket in here. So I'm just going to quickly have a sip of my tea. So here, I've just got some coffee dyed card. And again, you know, this is thicker than copy paper. It's more like card. And then you can obviously put your pockets in exactly as you want. So for here, I'm just going to put this in on this side because I quite like all this and I don't want to necessarily cover it up. So I'll just be really lazy and tear that down. Or what we could do is actually do 2 pockets. So if I just cut this down here on this edge. And then I'm just going to cut it down on this edge as well. I was going to tear it, but I'll be good and I will cut it. And then what we could do is actually have 2 pockets here, like that. So, and the reason I've done that is because obviously this is a tall booklet. So, I mean, it can definitely take the 2 pockets. I mean, I'm not necessarily thinking, you know, any size paper or any size one could have 2 pockets. But because this is very tall, it definitely, you know, it can take the 2 pockets, can't it? So let's just glue this one down. Like that. And I absolutely love these. Again, you know, as I've said every week since doing these reruns, I'm finding these reruns really, really helpful because actually, you know, we make so many things all the time. It's quite easy to forget some of the earlier things or, you know, perhaps some of the things, you know, that we kind of made before and we've kind of got out of the mode of making them. So this is another one of those things that I feel like actually over time I'm making these less and, you know, not necessarily making them that often anymore. And actually they're one of my favourite things. You know, they were one of my favourite things, but yeah, I've kind of, you know, they've just somehow got lost and forgotten about. And so now it's quite nice to return to them and actually kind of remake some of these earlier things. Okay, so just squish that down like that. So, I mean, again, if you're using your sewing machine instead of your glue, of course, you could just stitch around there and stitch your pockets on. But then you've got a pocket there and a pocket there. You've got a pocket here. And, of course, what you could do is just cover this side with, like, a sheet of coffee dyed paper. I'm not sure whether I would do that because I like this, you know, decorative paper showing. But you could do that. So then I'm just going to put a thumb hole in the top of here. Like that. Oops. Okay. There we go. And that just kind of shows you, you know, nice and easily that that's then a pocket. And again, I mean, you could match it up and have thumb holes here, but, you know, not completely necessary. But, and then you've got obviously the front that you can decorate. Now, as you can see, where I've kind of folded mine in, and I haven't made a very good job of making it, you know, folding it into thirds, I've then got this gap on the edge. Again, that doesn't really bother me. You know, for a start, I don't mind it having that gap anyway. But if I did, all I would do is I'd take maybe some lace or, you know, something like that. Or maybe like a paper ruffle or, you know, one of those paper sort of decorative edge pieces or something. So I'm just going to cut this down. And then if I just show you, you know, how this would look. And it would just disguise the fact that you might have cut this a bit short. So let's just quickly... And I mean, obviously, if you've done it the other way, i.e. this side is longer, then you could always trim this side down. But if you've done like me and you've made it a bit short, then, you know, what I would probably do is just go along the edge with some lace here. And then, you know, you can't even tell that that was short. Because, of course, that lace is overhanging and making it longer than the bottom anyway. So, you know, that's kind of a little tip for if you've then, you know, can you see it's about 3mm shorter than the back. That's just a really good way to kind of overcome those types of problems. So that's my first one. I'm just going to put that to one side. And then I'll just demonstrate kind of another one, and we'll do a smaller one here so that you can see kind of what the smaller ones would look like. So again, what I'm going to do is just cut this little border down because, yeah, my printer obviously printed it, you know, with this weird kind of border edge. So we'll just chop that off. Now, again, what we'll do is kind of make this, shall we make it smaller actually, or shall we have it a big one as well? I'm just going to finish my tea. Hold on. Oh, that was just like a really sweet cup of tea. I mean, I do love sweet cups of tea, but I think that must have had like some leftover sugar from the last one because it seemed extra sweet. Okay, so I might make this another full size one. So again, what we'll do, we'll come in here like that, squish that down, and then you can bring your pocket over like that. Now, again, I've now cut this way too, or folded it way too, you know, over, if you see what I mean. But that's fine, because what I'll do is I can now trim this down. So if I cut that back on itself, or fold that back on itself, it just shows me a guide there where I need to cut this roughly. So I'll just go along here like that. Okay. And then that's my guide for where I need to cut that. I mean, you can probably see I have not made a good job of cutting at all. So I'm just going to try and tidy it up slightly. Yeah, made a terrible pig's ear of that, as they would say. Okay, right, so again, push that in, or, you know, fold that in and then fold that in. So I was thinking, you see, I would keep this as a tall one because I thought, oh, I've got that lamppost there. In reality, you can't really see that lamppost at all. So to be honest, I could have cut this right down. So I think what I'll do, I'll cut it down now about this kind of height here. And then I'll just keep this because we could make something else with this, or we could, you know, make a cluster or something with it. Of course, we're not going to throw it away because there's always something we can do with that. So now I've got this little one here. And again, actually what I'll do, I'll put my thumb hole in before I actually even glue it down this time. So take that and just, you know, just judging by eye. Oops, put my thumb hole in and then just, again, glue round. So if I was sewing this, not gluing, I'd just fold it in and then I would just stitch down probably all three edges if I was sewing it. Because, of course, then, you know, the sewing is going to be, or the stitching is going to be, you know, on show, whereas the glue's not really on show, if that makes sense. So, you know, I would just have the uniformity with the stitching down both sides. So that's that one. And then again, we can just use, oops, we can just use some plain coffee dyed paper, or the piece that I said that we were going to keep. If I bring that in, what we could do is in here, we could use this to have as a pocket, and we could have it either, you know, either side. So this is why it's quite nice, you know, if you've used like some sort of double-sided paper, then what you can do is obviously marry up. So this obviously is, you know, the outside paper, and we're putting it here on the inside paper, which is then tying the outside to the inside, if that makes sense. So, you know, it's quite nice if you're using double-sided papers to be able to do things like that, I think. So again, let's just glue this one down. So put some glue down there. And, you know, you can see I'm only putting one pocket on here because this is obviously a much smaller, you know, much shorter piece than that last one that we did, which was obviously a big tall pocket, and therefore could take, you know, 2 pockets on it. So again, just going to squish this down. Now that paper's wanting to curl up, so I'm just going to have to press that for a few minutes just to make sure it's, you know, pressed down properly. And then what I'll have to just do is tidy that up on the outside here on the front where it's overhanging slightly. So I'll just take that down there. I'm just going to take this down here because it looks a little bit off to an angle. Okay, there we go. Yay, there we go. And then what you could do, again, you know, if you wanted to make kind of, you know, different looks, or, you know, just, yeah, just making it different, you could obviously go in with your corner rounder, round the corners, like that. If you've got one of those decorative edge, you know, punches, then you could, oh, it's not wanting to go through that. Let me do this singly. So I'll do the back edge first. And then I'll do this piece. Okay. Bearing in mind that's obviously a little bit on the soggy side still from the glue. Okay, and then in here, and then I'll just go in with this one as well. There we go. Oh, how nice is that? It looks gorgeous, doesn't it? And then, yeah, if you've got one of those decorative edge punches, you could go down this edge and make a pretty decorative edge. You know, you get those kind of lace edge, or, you know, different types of decorative edge punches. You could do that along the side. Obviously, you'd have to be aware of your pocket, but you could always put the pocket on this side. The pocket doesn't have to be here. So, you know, bearing in mind, you can kind of mix and match these quite a bit and kind of do quite a few different kind of looks and things with them. So that's that one. Let's just do one with the 12 by 12 papers, and then I'll kind of stop talking you through it really. So let's just cut this down. And again, you know, you're just kind of guessing really the sort of approximate height that you're going to want this. So I'm kind of going with that sort of height. And then again, we're just going to fold it over. Now, obviously this is a 12 by 12, not an A4. So, you know, just got to bear that in mind a bit. And then again, we can just go in here. In fact, we'll take this one over like that. Oops. Like that. Okie doke. Squish that down. And then I'm going to obviously trim all of this up. So trim it up down this side. Like that. And then we're just going to go across here at the top. And then just check how my bottom's looking. Okay, that's not looking too bad, so that's okay. Right, now I have just noticed that actually, to be honest, I've gone very skew-if here, if you see what I mean. So what I will do with this one is actually put my pocket on this side, just so as it covers up this, you know, this rubbish kind of appearance that I've got. So again, I'm going to go in with my hole punch. Now I'm just going to try and do it from this side because I can see slightly better on the pink side. So put our thumb hole in, and then again we're just going to go down on the side, whoops, on the side, like that. Okay. Press that in. Like that. Oops. Okay. And then I'm just going to take my coffee dyed paper, and I can put like a coffee dyed pocket here, which, you know, if you're thinking, oh gosh, that looks terrible, it may still look terrible, but it, you know, it will probably look quite fine once I've actually inked the whole thing up, you know, because that will kind of then blend the coffee dyed paper in with the floral paper. So I'm just going to put that down there, and then just, and again, this is not copy paper thickness. This is thicker, you know, this is not thin, flimsy paper. This is, you know, sturdy, thicker paper for this coffee dyed paper. So I wouldn't swear by it, but it's probably like 230 GSM, something like that. So, you know, it's quite thick. It's not kind of going to be falling apart. Okay, there we go. That's my pocket. Now I'm going to just trim across here because that just does not look very good. So I'll just trim it from the outside. And then what I'll probably have to do is just maybe apply a bit more glue. So we go across there like that. Okay. Like that. And then this front piece. Okay, looking good. So we just then press that down. And that's that one. So, I mean, they're really nice, aren't they? And then, of course, you know, you can finish them off however you like. But you could finish them off either maybe with a paper clip holding them closed. You could make some sort of other sort of like paper closure. Like, you know, you could put a clasp around here or something with some Velcro. That would be really, really nice. You could obviously use some string or some twine or something. Just kind of come around, oops, like that. On there like that. You know, that looks really nice. In fact, that does look really nice, to be honest, doesn't it? You know, you could obviously inside put some Velcro or magnets or something to have a magnetic closure or a Velcro closure inside. You know, there's loads of different options that you can use for a closure with these. So don't limit yourself and kind of just think, you know, yeah, think through all the different closures. I mean, you guys are so brilliant. I'm sure you've probably got tons more ideas than I've got, but you know, just play around and find the best closure that you can. So I'm going to stop waffling through what we're doing now. I'm just going to kind of try and mass make a couple. It seems like I've waffled on for a long time now, and I probably haven't got that much time to actually make any, but I should just get cracking now as quick as I can. This one again, I want to keep this whole thing on, so I'm going to just cut this down slightly. So hopefully I get both those ladies in there instead of having to chop one off. Okay, and actually I might keep that to do one of those closures that I just talked about. So yeah, let's just relax into it now and have a nice kind of craft along. So I hope everyone's having a good week. Obviously, if you watch my channel, you'll know that I tend to film these on a Monday. So obviously very early in my week. But I hope you guys are all having a good week. I hope it's all started out well. What's the weather like where you are? It's very bizarre here. Got up this morning, it was like pouring down with rain and not very nice at all. Since then, the sun's come out and it's, yeah, looking like actually quite a nice day out there. Obviously, I actually haven't been out now since the school run, so it's about 10:30 now. So yeah, it's just really odd because when I did the school run, it was really quite horrible. And since getting home, in the last like 45 minutes or so, it just seems like it's really, you know, perked up and brightened up and looks really quite nice out there. So who knows what, you know, where the weather's headed today, but seems to just have a mind of its own. So I've wrapped up thinking it was kind of autumn. And now I'm thinking I'm obviously going to be boiling spoiling when I go back to the school later. I'll be like passing out. I'm just going to trim that across the top because I just then noticed that when I printed this borderless, it didn't go quite to the edges. So we'll just get rid of any white, you know, white borders from here. And then I'm just going to, again, glue this down like that. Okie dokie. Yeah, I mean, it's racing through. Can you believe we are nearly at the end of September already? It's just crazy, absolutely crazy. So, yeah, thank you so much to everyone who's bought my autumn kits. And I still haven't filmed the giveaway video yet, would you believe? But I am, you know, it's on my agenda. But I've got something else that I'm hoping to do alongside it. But I'm trying to figure out how to do it. So at the moment, I'm kind of like in research mode. But yeah, I'm hoping to do that in the next day or so. But thank you so much to everyone who's bought the autumn kit. I hope that you're really enjoying it. And I know that I also did the birds, bees and butterflies. And then I'm also going to do a launch video for the King Street, which I mentioned earlier on in the video. So that will be coming up, you know, hopefully Sunday, to be honest, all being well. So yeah, I really hope that you like that kit when you kind of see it in more detail as well. And then I have been working non-stop on creating a new Halloween kit. And I'm just going to give you a very sneak preview because I've, yeah, been very, very busy with it. But I'm very excited by it. So that's just a sneak preview of the Halloween kit that will be coming soon. Hopefully it'll be in my shop pretty soon, you know, hopefully this week. And obviously then I'm going to be doing a launch video for it. And I've already been kind of putting the launch video together. Yeah, making something with that kit. I have had such a blast playing around with that kit. It's really weird. And I talk about this in the video. But, I mean, the whole Halloween thing, I mean, that's so out of my comfort zone. It's not, you know, Halloween-y type. I'm not saying Halloween's not my thing. But, you know, working with those kind of gothic-y colours and gothic-y style, that's not really my thing, to be honest. And you know, despite saying that's not my thing, ooh, I'm just wondering whether I could use this paper on here. Oh, do you know, I think that's a little bit too daring for me. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, despite it not being my type of thing at all, every year when I've created a Halloween kit, I have so loved doing it. I think because it's not my type of thing, do you know, I'm going to leave that pocket, I think, because, yeah, I think I would probably prefer to do it in, you know, complementary kind of matching paper. And as I don't have any here at the moment, I'd probably rather hold fire and put a pocket in here afterwards. But I am going to do the closure just to kind of demonstrate what I was talking about. So let me just grab in my Velcro dots. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this down on the back. So it's just literally, it's a piece of paper glued or folded in half and glued on to that back portion like that. And I've just kind of put it, you know, more or less in the middle. Okay. And then I'm just going to trim this down very slightly because it's kind of a little bit too big still. Yeah, weirdly, because Halloween and gothic-y type things, you know, they're just not my thing at all. Every year when I've done a Halloween project, I have loved it so much. I think because it's so far out of my comfort zone and it's just something so fun to do. So I can't tell you how much of a blast I'm having with this year's Halloween kit as well. So, yeah. Keep your eyes peeled. It will be hopefully in my shop very soon, like I say. You know, I'm hoping this week I will get it in there. And then I just need to kind of finish doing the launch videos, you know, because I'm making kind of an entire thing with it. I don't know how many videos there will be. It might just be a couple. I think I've done 2 already, so perhaps be 3, something like that. Yeah, so I will just kind of finish up the videos and then... obviously, you know, put the launch video out for that. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled because it's really been a lot of fun to use so far. Anyway, I mean, like I said, I've not obviously finished yet, but I'm having a lot of fun with that kit so far. And that's just my little closure there. And, you know, I mean, you could then put something over that. I mean, you could put like lace on there. Oops. You know, a bit of lace on there or something. You could put, in fact, could even perhaps put the lace completely over like that. That's quite nice. Or, I mean, you could even use just lace all together, you know. Yeah, you could do that. Although, well, I mean, you could put a pop stud or something like that on there. I'm probably overcomplicating things, but yeah. Anyway, that's just a little kind of closure idea, which I think is really quite sweet, isn't it? So let's put that to one side. So that was my Purple Rain kit, by the way. So let's do one with this. So again, I'm just going to come in like about here, I think. Okay. And this is my Time Traveller kit. You may have seen recently we'd done a folio and things using this kit. So yeah, you might have already seen that video or those series of videos going up. Had a really nice time using this kit as well. Okay, so I'm just going to trim this down along here. Yeah, the Halloween thing though, oh, I can't tell you. There's something just really wicked, really great and really yummy. Yummy and nice to use such, you know, horrible, gory kinds of things that you just would not in a million years normally use. So yeah, I have absolutely loved making the kit and also absolutely loved using the kit so far what I have made with the kit. So yeah, do keep your eyes peeled for the launch of that, and I really hope you all really like it. It's really different, really different. Okay. Okie dokie. So at the weekend, I went out with my sister and yeah, we had such a nice time. For those of you who watch my channel, you'll know that my sister, she recently got divorced as well. And obviously, as you know, I'm currently getting divorced. And yeah, so kind of like really nice to kind of just hang out together a little bit because, you know, of course, we're kind of in a similar situation and, you know, restarting our lives again, which, you know, like it or lump it. But yeah, we're in a similar situation, which is so nice, actually, that we're both kind of going through similar things at the same time. You know, it kind of is, yeah, is fun and kind of makes it a bit more, well, easy, I suppose, to kind of deal with. But yeah, so on Saturday, she and I, we went out, we went to a casino. Now, I haven't been to a casino for years. I mean, obviously, yeah, I don't think I've probably been since I had children. I might have been once or twice since I've had children. I can't really remember, but if I haven't, then obviously that gives you an idea of how long it is since I've been to one. That's like, you know, my eldest son, he's 18. So it would have been over 18 years ago. If I have been since, I've certainly not been for a long time. So, you know, he must have been a baby when I went. So, yeah, definitely haven't been for a very, very, very long time. You know, and I mean, I'm not a gambler or anything like that, you know. But we went because my sister, she had never been to one. And we were talking about them and, you know, she said she'd never been to one. And I said, well, why don't we go? You know, let's go and, you know, kind of have a night out at one. So we did. Well, I have to say they've changed so much since when I did go before. And yeah, completely different experience now. I mean, I find it very, very sad how people don't really dress up anymore. And, you know, I'm probably just showing my age now and just sounding like an old granny, really. But, you know, nobody gets dressed up, do they? They don't get dressed up to go, you know, anywhere, actually. I mean, my eldest son, who's obviously 18, he went to a casino, the same casino, a few months ago, you know, for the first time ever that he'd ever been in a casino, because again, he kind of wanted to experience what one was like. So I obviously asked him, you know, well, what were people wearing and things? And he said, just normal clothes. I said, what do you mean just normal clothes? He said, well, just, you know, jeans, you know. What? Jeans? Oh my gosh, do people not get dressed up for anything? Because, you know, years ago, I mean, people did get dressed up to go to like a casino, you know. He also had been to a couple of nightclubs recently. Again, people don't get dressed up for those. They go in their jeans. I mean, he even said someone went to the casino in a tracksuit, for goodness sake. Not somebody he was with, but, you know, somebody. Oh, my goodness. Why would you want to go to a casino in a tracksuit? Or a nightclub, or, you know, any of those kinds of places? That just, what is wrong with people? And I apologise if you are one of those people who, you know, perhaps you do like to kind of dress down and things. But, you know, I mean, I kind of think, oh, there aren't that many opportunities to get dressed up, are there? So why wouldn't you want to get dressed up when you can? So, you know, I mean... Oh, these are sweeping statements I'm making here. So I'm putting an apology out straight away if I'm kind of just stereotyping. But, you know, I think a lot of us women, you know, we kind of have a lot of clothes. And, yep, I'm definitely guilty of having a lot of clothes. You know, that obviously I don't really get to go anywhere to wear them. So if you went to somewhere like a casino, obviously it's a chance to get some of those clothes out and wear them, isn't it? Well... Not anymore. Not anymore. It's not a chance to get those clothes out and wear them. In fact, it appears that nowhere is a chance to get them out and wear them. Oh, I mean, I just think that's really, really sad, to be honest. And, you know, I think kids of today, they're missing out, aren't they? But, you know, I mean, people don't get dressed up now to go to a theatre. They don't get dressed up, you know. I mean, I can remember as a child, my mum getting very dressed up if we went on an aeroplane, you know. To go on holiday or anything, she would, you know, get dressed up. I mean, obviously at Christmas we get dressed up, you know. I mean, I do still get dressed up at Christmas and things, you know. Yeah, put on something maybe sparkly or, you know, just something, yeah, dressy, like a nice dress or something, you know. If I go to a restaurant, I mean, you know, depends on the restaurant, obviously. And there are times that I might just go in what I've worn all day, but... You know, I still would kind of, you know, freshen my makeup up and things, or, you know, maybe put on a pair of kind of nice shoes, or, I don't know, just something a little bit. I mean, oh, I don't know. I just feel like society has kind of lost something. If people don't get dressed up for anything like that, they don't get dressed up for a nightclub, they don't get dressed up for the theatre, they don't get dressed up, you know, for any of these things, then, you know, it just kind of calls into question, well, when do people dress up, you know? I mean, I was talking to my friend about it, and, you know, we were kind of saying about, you know, where do you get dressed up? I mean, obviously weddings, you can get dressed up for a wedding, can't you? And then my friend said about a wedding and, you know, people went in jeans. Jeans to a wedding? What's wrong with people? Yeah, so, I mean, I think that's really, really sad, to be honest, but, you know, that's maybe just me, but... I think there's nothing nicer than having an excuse to dress up. But anyway, I digress. So we'd gone to the casino anyway, and yeah, we got dressed up. I mean, I'm not saying we got really dressed up. I mean, hopefully we didn't look ridiculous, you know. There was a variety of different attire in there. You know, there were indeed some people in jeans. There were, you know, there were some people who were quite dressed up. So, you know, it was a variety. Yeah, I'm going to use this side, actually. There was a variety, you know, some dressed up, some not so dressed up. So, you know, anything kind of seemed to go, which was fine. But it was just so odd in there because, I mean, again, the last time that I went, it seemed quite glamorous in there. You know, it was quite plush, quite nice, you know. Yeah, just very grown up in there, you know, very kind of... you know, sort of sophisticated in a kind of grown-up type way. No, not anymore. I mean, it was a bit like walking into a bingo hall. The whole of the kind of first bit that you went in, it was just filled with, you know, slot machines, fruit machines and things. So, I mean, that was a bit like going into an arcade, which was a little bit disappointing. And then the gaming tables themselves... well, even they looked a bit cheap and rubbish, to be honest. They didn't really kind of look how they used to look. I don't know. It just seemed a bit rubbish, to be honest. I mean, yeah, just... I mean, how everything's changed. And I just think it's kind of generally everything's changed now, hasn't it? And, you know, some things I've changed for the better, some things for the worse. I mean, personally, I thought that was for the worse. But, you know, who knows? I mean, maybe maybe things would just look really dated now if they were quite plush and dressy. I don't know. But, and then the worst of it was, obviously because it's so long since I've been. So we'd kind of set ourselves a little budget of what we were going to spend. And, you know, we are not spending more than that, you know. So when you go in and you put your money down and you say to the croupier, you know, colour please. And so we had £20, you know, each. And we said to the croupier, you know, colour please. Now, again, when I went last time, you then got, you know, quite a good number of chips. Now, I think that they were 25p chips, I think. They could have been 50p, but I think they were 25p. So I'm sure you had like 2 quite decent stacks of chips for your £20, you know, which then obviously you could play for quite a long time, you know, and have quite a good night out kind of thing with, you know, not too much money. Well, I couldn't believe it. We put our £20 down and said, colour please. And we just got back like a little stack of chips like that. It hadn't even occurred to me. But of course, the minimum bet now is no longer a 25p chip. It's £2. £2. So for our £20, we got literally 10 chips, you know, which was pretty rubbish, wasn't it? You know, we clearly were not going to be in there for very long. So, yeah, it was a bit sort of rubbish. And we had our first go and, you know, I think we put down like 3 chips each, you know. And I was kind of saying to my sister, oh, you know, obviously the minimum bet is now like £2, you know. So I said each one of those chips is £2. So she said, oh my gosh, what? We've just put £6 now on that table. I said, yeah. And obviously, you know, neither of us had a win at that point. She said, well, that's just ridiculous. She said, because, you know, I spend longer thinking about, do I spend £6 on a face cream? I said, I know what you mean. I've got some makeup brushes in my Amazon cart that are $5.99. And I'm kind of like, shall I or shan't I buy them? But hey, that's £6. It just literally went in 2 seconds flat. So, yeah, we weren't in there that long, needless to say. And, you know, yeah, my sister won a couple of times. So, you know, her kind of little bit of money did last a little bit longer. I didn't even have a single win. So it was pretty rubbish. But don't get me wrong, I quite like just watching everyone and, you know, yeah, just kind of the fun of it, seeing what numbers come in. It's kind of exciting, even if you're not, you know, gambling or betting, you know. But yeah, it was a bit of a kind of eye-opener from the point of view that they put those bets up. So straight away, that's miles less fun unless you're going to be willing to lose a lot more money, you know. And yeah, I mean, I just kind of thought, that's like spoilt it really, because we are not going to be here for 5 minutes, you know. So yeah, that was kind of a bit disappointing. So then we went for a drink. Now, I don't drink or anything. My sister drinks, I don't drink. So I was driving. And we went in this very trendy place. It's called, now I'm not sure whether it's called the Liquorist or the Alchemist, actually. I've got to be honest, I'm not quite sure which it's called. But one or the other of those. And it's kind of like this... like an apothecary kind of bar type place where they're kind of like doing these sciencey things to make the drinks. So obviously all of the drinks really are cocktails. So luckily they do non-alcoholic ones. So I had like a non-alcoholic cocktail of sorts. I can't remember now what it was called, but something berry. It was quite nice. It was fizzy. It was, yeah, quite nice. A little bit too zingy and zesty, but, you know, it was quite nice. Oh, my sister had a very exciting one. So she had a espresso martini, I think she had. So, I don't know, it's got like a shot of coffee and a martini, I think. So, and again, they make a big deal out of making your drink. So they're kind of shaking it for ages in like a, you know, traditional kind of cocktail shaker thing and everything. So it all feels very exciting in there. And then it comes to you in the most gorgeous, very glamorous kind of martini type glass, but much smaller than they used to be, I'm sure, because it seemed very, very tiny. And then they kind of finish it off with a bit of, I think, cream and maybe a couple of coffee beans on that. Anyway, it all looked very, very glamorous, I have to say. So yeah, she had one of those, and then I didn't really need another drink, so you know, I was kind of still on my berry, you know, citrusy zingy drink. But she had another one. What did she have then? Oh, she had something, I can't remember now what it was called, but berry Poppins or something. So I guess a play on like Mary Poppins. And yeah, it came to her, and it was like in a wine glass, and it had this bubble kind of thing on the top that looked like it was just filled with kind of air. So we were like, oh my gosh, you know, look at that. And suddenly the bubble pops and all this dry ice kind of thing like comes out. Oh, I mean, incredible, and very, very clever how they've done them. You know, all very, who's that chef? That Hester, oh, what's his name? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, he used to have his own programme, and he was that mad kind of chef who did those weird and wonderful recipes. And, well, I don't know if they were wonderful, certainly very weird. So, yeah, all very kind of his type of thing, but very sciencey and drinks. Right, let's count up how many we've done. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I'm going to decorate this one up. This was just the first one that we did. So yeah, let's decorate this one. Now, I happen to have a snippet roll that I've made in the launch video, which is coming up. So I'm going to take the snippet roll that I made in that video and use that, I think, because yeah, this would be kind of handy to get something made, I think, for my journal that I'm actually making. So yeah, let's use that. Okie dokie. So yeah, as I say, don't forget that there will be the launch video coming up of this whole kit, where you will then see this whole kit, you know, in a lot more detail. So, you know, if you're wondering kind of what, you know, what else you get, I'm hoping on Sunday that video will go out. So, right. Just see if I've got some other, any of the fussy cut bits here, or whether I've probably buried now somewhere else, because I'm obviously in the middle of a project with this. So yeah, I should have really thought of that. Oh well, let's just you know, go for this like this. Anyway, so that was our Saturday night. So, and it ended up being a late night for me. So yeah, kind of I mean, I don't really have late nights, but I mean, by the time that we drove home and things, and then she obviously came in, she was getting picked up from my house. Then obviously I was catching up. My son had got in from work and things. So I think by the time that I actually got to bed, it was about 12:30. Wow, 12:30. I mean, that's like seriously late for me, like proper late night. So yeah, I was super, super tired yesterday. You know, because my body's not used to going to bed that late. I'm really pathetic when it comes to late nights. And yeah, I can't tell you. I mean, that was so late for me. So, yes, I kind of suffered yesterday. You know, I didn't suffer, obviously, from a hangover, because, of course, I don't drink. But I was just super tired. I thought, well, you know, that's why I don't go to bed late normally. Right. Now, this was that one that I cut short here. And so I'm going to just kind of put some lace down the edge, which will just kind of bring that over and just disguise that a little bit. So I'm just going to take my hot glue and glue this down the edge. Okie dokie. Okay. There we go. Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, I mean, even going out like to a place like that, you know, it's been a long time since I've done anything like that. It was okay. I mean, you know, that's not really my type of thing, to be honest, going out. I mean, obviously I don't drink, so that's, you know, that's straight away not going to be that much fun. I don't know, you know, I guess you kind of don't expect yourself to be doing these things again. So, but hey, you know, felt pleased that we went, and we did have a really good laugh. I mean, yeah, obviously my sister was quite drunk, and she's pretty funny anyway. So yeah, we did have a good laugh. So, So it was good fun, and I'm glad that we went. I mean, as regards to the casino, I'm not sure we'll be rushing back there anytime soon because, well, because it was such a rip-off apart from anything else, you know, it was not very good value. Okay, just wondering whether I could have this gold flower. Oh, I don't know. I have got some other gold touches, so perhaps I will. Just because this gold flower's been like in my stash for ages. And to be honest, it could just do with being used because it's just kind of floating about, really. Let's just mop that up. Okie dokie. And we'll just put this one down. Like that. Okay. And then I'm just going to stick this bit over. Like that. Okay. I mean, I am wondering as well whether I've got anything else I can use on here. It's a shame that I can't find the sheets of the fussy cuts because I'm sure I've got some other bits that would have looked really good. But that's fine. I can just pop this one down. So again, I'm just going to use the hot glue because it's just nice and speedy. Fast and speedy. So yeah, let's just glue that down. Oops, okay. There we go. Oh, and the other really great thing, my eldest son, he did some wallpapering for us, or for me, you know, well, for us, you know, me and the children. It's our home together, isn't it? So, yeah, I mean, obviously we don't know whether we're going to be staying here, but yeah, we hope we're going to manage to stay here. But we used to have some wallpaper on one of the walls in the kitchen, and, you know, kind of over time, it obviously had kind of begun to lift and things like that. So, you know, way back when, so about a year ago or something, we took the wallpaper off, and we had our floor redone. I can't remember whether that was, yeah, maybe kind of this time last year or, you know, a long time ago anyway. It might have been coming up for Christmas or something like that. I can remember moaning about not having a kitchen for quite a while, so I'm sure you probably all remember me moaning as well. Anyway, so we'd taken the wallpaper off then with a view to obviously then wallpapering again, you know, just the same wallpaper once the floor had been done. Well, obviously then once the floor had got done, then it was Christmas. And then, of course, you know, my husband kind of and I parted ways and he moved out. And, you know, so it's just kind of been, yeah, like, you know, looking really shoddy ever since, basically. Because obviously the wall was a bit marked underneath where it did used to have wallpaper. But obviously none of us can actually wallpaper because my husband actually always used to do the wallpapering. So I've only ever literally hung one strip of wallpaper ever in my whole life. And, you know, as I'm sure you can all imagine, I'm not the most patient person. And yeah, I was pretty rubbish at it, let's just say. So not really my bag, to be honest. To be fair, the actual hanging wasn't too bad. What actually caused me the problem was, you know, the cutting with the knife on the edge. Because it's very soggy, you know, obviously it's been kind of saturated with the wallpaper paste. I mean, you know, some people, I guess, perhaps would say leave it to dry and then try cutting it with the craft knife. I don't think that's how you're supposed to do it. I think you're supposed to do it when you're, you know, when it's wet, but I wouldn't swear by it. But yeah, of course, trying to do it when it's wet, as you can imagine, it just tears. So, you know, just pretty rubbish. Anyways, that's why I can't do it. Anyway, he yesterday wallpapered. It was only 3 strips that needed to be hung in this little gap. So he did that yesterday. Oh, he made such a brilliant job of it. I'm so proud of him. He's such a good boy. I mean, they're both really good boys. My daughter's a really good girl too. But I mean, obviously she's not helpful and handy like that, you know, because she's only 7. Hopefully one day she might be. But yeah, I mean, they're such good, helpful boys. So yeah, he did that and he made a wonderful job. And as soon as I saw it, I said to him, oh my gosh, you know, you've made a brilliant job. Well done. And of course, like all of us, he's straight away instantly drawn to the one thing that perhaps wasn't so good. So he said, oh, well, I've mucked up this bit. And he was pointing to, like in the very top corner, there was a little bit of the paper that he'd torn. So I said, oh, don't worry. I'm a crafter. I can fill that in. So I said, you know, where's some of the paper? He said, oh, I haven't got any left. You know, I've just got the offcuts in the bin. So I said, oh, that's fine. You know, get the offcuts from the bin. So he bought the offcuts in from the bin. I'm just trying to get some brown twine. So I'm sorry if my face is kind of turned from the camera for a minute. So I said, I'll get the offcuts from the bin. So he did. And it's brick wallpaper that we've used. So, you know, that's kind of trendy at the moment, isn't it? So, yeah, I looked for a brick that was obviously, hopefully the same brick, you know, the same sort of colour brick. And I just tore it, you know, like we would do in our junk journals. And obviously my son, who was watching, having spent like the whole afternoon, you know, wallpapering, hanging these 3 strips, I mean, looked mortified because he probably thought, what? You know, I've taken all afternoon and you're just tearing something to put it up there now. So he said to me, what? You're tearing it? Why aren't you cutting it? I said, oh, you know, just trust me. This is, you know, this is going to patch in. I said, you know, come on, I'm a crafter. Well, he did not look convinced. I have to say, I didn't feel overly convinced. You know, I wasn't quite sure how it was going to be. Oh, would you believe? It patched in perfectly well. It was just like the method that we use in our junk journals. In that, it just kind of like, I put it over the brick and it kind of like, you know, tucked on over the top, if you see what I mean. And I thought, now, I wonder what that would have looked like had I have cut it. I don't think it would have patched in so well because, of course, you would have had those kind of jaggedy edges, like where I cut it, or straight edges. You know, it would have stood out like a sore thumb. But the weirdest thing is, tearing it, it just blended in with that brick perfectly. So who knew? Who knew that our junk journaling ways and our junk journaling kind of methods would actually go in to help, you know, even when doing, you know, wallpapering in a room. So, yeah, I was really, really chuffed. And actually he was going like, oh, to be fair, that's blended right in. So this is how this would look on a page. So what I would do, obviously this is a very tall one. And like I say, I'm not even sure I've ever done a tall one before. I would probably glue this on 3 sides. And I would have it stuck down like that. And it would be a pocket, obviously, here. Obviously, you've got then your tie. Whoops. Your tie. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, your tie closure there. And then what you've got in here, because this was the tall one, we put the 2 pockets here. So you've got 2 pockets here for, you know, journaling cards in there. And then you've got this very tall pocket here. Now, obviously, this is a very tall, long, skinny pocket. So you'd have to have something pretty, you know, tall and thin to go in there. But, you know, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, so that's how that would look on a page. So, I mean, it's super nice, isn't it? And, you know, looks really, really pretty. And I'm just going to pull in one of the shorter ones just to quickly show you kind of the difference between the tall and the shorter version. So this is obviously the shorter one. And again, obviously it's opening. We've got the, you know, the pockets here. And again, I would glue that kind of on 3 sides. So you'd have like a side loading pocket and it would go in like that. So yeah, that's the, you know, how they would look on a journal page. And yeah, I hope that you like them. I hope you managed to get some made. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a fantastic week. Again, please keep your eyes peeled. I am intending on getting that giveaway video up. Like I say, I'm researching something because I would love to tie it in with something else. I'm not going to mention what, just in case I can't manage to find out how to do it. But yeah, the plan is to try and tie it in with something. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic week, but hopefully see you guys tomorrow. Thanks then. Bye.